under a rock, or you can turn yourself in, but they are ruthless, hungry and in power again.
Folks, welcome to another edition of Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, Not a Threat.
Just a fact.
And a subliminal suggestion.
This is a that too. This is a bonus episode. First of its kind, where we bring someone else on for the show and have them talk about something specific. I'm Sarah, aka Lulu, aka the Lady and the Tiger.
I am Evan, aka Scramble Dogs Vorbis.
I'm Sam, aka Washington Senator Patty Furry.
And joining us this week is host of one of my favorite podcasts, the podcast Barking Points Memo, one of the hosts, Axel.
Hello, I am Axel, also known as... Oh, no, it's that guy. Please don't say hi. Oh, hi!
Hi.
Welcome to the show, Axel. Hi.
Hello. I finally made it.
Well, thanks for joining us. That's going to wrap it up for Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. We'll see you guys in a couple of days.
Memento Pokemori.
So we brought Axel on because there's been a lot of wild shit happening in like furry stuff over the last couple of weeks, and I'm the only furry on this podcast, so I needed to reach out to someone else who knows more than me about this stuff, and also that I can talk about with this, because holy shit, there has been some things happening in these last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe to start with, should we kind of explain what furry kind of is, or what it isn't, or anything like that?
Oh, for our one listener who's not a furry.
Yeah, for the one that isn't. Instead of giving like a Wikipedia-style answer, I kind of want to do a little bit of perhaps a philosophical dive. And one of the things that I think furry is really interesting in illustrating is the idea that how much of our identities do we really have our own control over?
I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah. Shit, me neither. Huh.
All of
it? Not always. What about the other circumstances of your birth, of your life? You don't have control over those. Things like your physical body. We have very limited control over that. However, there are parts of our identity that exist outside of both our physical form and sometimes our own control, such as social security numbers, banks, and that information that get leaked. That's part of your identity that you don't have full control over. However, we have other parts that we use to kind of define ourselves. And what's interesting about that is the online space has given us a location for that, a place to put our identity that is not held down by the constraints of the physical and the material world. And when people have decided to give that shape, maybe that a shape does not have to be human. Maybe the human shape is not ideal to people, or having some kind of other frame of reference or some other filter through which to present ourselves is going to be more optimal. It's not that much different than what we all do as kind of online social network gardeners. We present ourselves, we pick the different pieces of our lives that we want to present to other people. It's all some kind of persona. It's just that furries, I think, have embraced the potential of the internet as a way of being able to kind of free yourself or choose a different physical representation to give out.
So what you're saying is that furries do online better?
Yes, I think they have, or they're maybe a more evolved form of that. I guess maybe
Excellent.
to be
we
less...
have ascended.
Yeah, I guess to be less philosophical, it's not that much different than the original character culture that a lot of people in DeviantArt have had. It's just that furries
except for most of us have like tails and pointy ears.
Yeah. I mean, other than those details, there's not a big fundamental, I think, difference between them. And then there's also the fact that maybe furries are just people like me who grew up and a bunch of TV networks all decided that, you know what kids need is cartoon animals that are aggressively sexual. Biker Mice from Mars.
Yeah, that's
Ninja Turtles, Road Rover. I mean, like, you know, if you're a child and you're watching a whole bunch of that media and your brain just happens to, I don't know, secrete the wrong chemical right when you're watching that and your sexuality develops, then whoops, you're a furry now. That's what happened.
Yeah, wait. Did you just describe the Ninja Turtles as aggressively sexual?
Have you seen them? They're stacked.
Listen, Michelangelo fucks like a champion. This is a fact we all need to accept.
Like, they're like the least anthropomorphized characters.
They all have extremely defined musculature. It is creepy.
They are fucking ripped and shredded. I don't know why you're acting like they're not.
Yeah.
That's just their shell.
Well, then look at street sharks. Do you want that? It's even more.
Okay, I can see it with street sharks.
I've never seen street sharks.
Look up Cowboys of Moo Mesa and do
Is
not
that why
tell
I'm
me
not
it
a
is
furry
like
because I've never seen street sharks?
Sorry, Cowboys of Moo Mesa?
yes.
It's actually really good.
I've never heard of this one.
Oh, okay. Look that up and tell me that is not propaganda.
I've heard of Brave Star.
I'm not kidding.
I've totally heard
Look
of
at
Cowboys
it.
of Moo
They're-
Mesa, and
Oh,
yeah, I can see
Christ,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Axel, I have a question that I want to posit you
God.
that I've been trying to figure out a little bit for myself. There are these like classic furry gateways for a lot of people. The ones that always come to mind immediately when I bring this up are like the
Space
female
Jam.
ones. I'm talking like Minerva Mink, Chitara, Gadget Hackwrench, Renamon, Crystal. Who do you think is the female furry gateway of the modern era?
Asking for a female one is kind of difficult for me to say because I don't really have an eye out for that. So it's a little bit
fair.
difficult. However,
That's fair, actually, and I realized that halfway through my question because the thing that I have been positing is that I genuinely think Nicole Watterson from Gumball is going to be that in like 15 years. Because like I'm not looking for it, but like I do see Nicole Watterson's ass like on For Affinity more.
I think that
often
might
than
be
I'd
your
like.
fault.
I think yes, I think
I'm
you are
not, like,
pre-selecting.
Googling
You're a self-selecting audience here, and also perhaps a bit Freudian. Considering that what you're saying is that the children who are watching the show will definitely want to fuck the mother character and not associate with the characters that are supposed to be their own age and not related to them.
Well, that's what's great about her is she's the size of
I
an
mean, to
average
be-
human mother.
I mean, to be fair, very much Renamon was not like the same age as the other. Renamon was very much the other in that show.
Yes, but that also wasn't either way.
Wow, this
there's
is
some
really
interesting.
started
I don't
happening,
feel like
hasn't it?
I don't feel like peeling away the skin entirely on this. Not in the show.
Yeah, I
but
was
in terms
unprepared
of-
for this conversation when it was about like furry politics. I'm extremely unprepared for this when it's about Cartoon Network shows that are airing right now.
Yeah, so I would say here's the other thing too is I don't think there is ever going to be a single unified character that's going to bring people in. Modern day culture is so atomized and so fragmented now that I don't think there ever is going to be one. Like, for me, I think a lot of it was playing a lot of Japanese JRPGs, and you have tons of those animal-human hybrid characters, and so you
that is
have
true.
a lot of stuff. Like, the Breath of Fire series is, like, pure furry bait. I mean, it has some great designs, but holy crap, yeah, it very much is.
Like shit, even Pokemon.
Well, I don't think Pokemon is direct... yeah, no. I mean...
No, I'll say it. I'll
wouldn't-
say it. As a person who doesn't enjoy Pokemon, there's way too many Pokemon that I see pictures of and go, "What the fuck is this shit? That should not be legal." Why are they
Well,
showing
yes,
this to our children?
I'm not denying that I think some of the recent designers of Pokemon are very horny on main, but...
Yeah, Lopunny should go to prison.
perhaps.
Mega Lopunny has ripped tights.
It's not okay.
What's the one from the recent generation that's like the flower with like the thigh highs?
Oh God.
Are you
All
talking
of
about
them.
it's the plant one that has like the stomping like high heels
Yeah.
thing, right? Well, I thought you were
Yeah.
going to talk about the weird
Oh, and they're
Salazzle
stomping too? Jesus
lizard one.
Yeah,
Christ.
Salazzle or what's it? Is it not Rockruff? What does Rockruff evolve into? Lycan Rock.
Wait, its name is
Yes.
just Lycan Rock?
Sarina is the plant Pokemon. Thank you, Matt of the show.
Now, is
All
it
right.
Lycan Rock as in a rock covered in moss, or is it Lycan Rock as in
Like as in
a rock
lycanthrope.
that is also a wolf? Also, I said Lycan moss. I meant to say mold. I'm sorry.
Also, or is it just really Lycan that rock?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lichens
Sorry.
are not a type of rock; they are a type of fungus and algae that have kind of formed a relationship with each other.
No, I meant
Yeah,
like Lycan
I
as in
realized
it's
that after I
liking-
said moss, and then I felt like a big
I meant like
idiot.
it's liking the rock, like to like the rock, you know.
Great joke. All right, yeah, I like that, Evan.
Thank you. Thanks for the.
this
I needed that
this-
approval
anyway.
desperately.
This is normally a question. This is normally a question that's reserved for a different podcast, but I'm just kind of curious. Axel, before we get into things, what exactly is your persona?
Well, I've decided that he's a lichen whatever because on one hand I got the depression and the listlessness of a cat, but sometimes I also have the neediness and neuroticism of a dog, so I switch between the two. So he's a lichen whatever.
So cat
Yeah.
dog.
Yes, but I fucking hate cat dog, so I refuse. Yeah.
Do I have to defend
I watched
cat
cat
dog
dog all the
podcast
fucking time
now?
as a kid, and I also hated cat dog.
There is a running joke in our server where when new people join, as long as someone reminds me to, I will give them a government-assigned fursona.
Because we're the government.
And this does also extend to the hosts, and I have a document here of all the host personas, and I'm not going to go down the entire list, but I am going to share the personas of those who are here. So mine is a tiger, obviously. Mm-hmm. Sam has deleted him from this list, but I do remember that it was a rat.
I actually deleted it from the list, so it's not.
He wants to decide his own, and we should really encourage that, because deciding on your persona is an extremely spiritual. I can't keep it up. It's not. It's nothing. People really love like coming into the fandom and trying to like ascribe it. Like they pretend like they're one of those English 19th century explorers. They got the hat and they go, "Ooh, what is this?" It's like it's a convention. And what do you do there? Like, I don't know, party. Like what else do you fucking do at a convention? It's like it's treating these very normal things as if they're really unique, and it's like, well, just like coming up with a character, like kids do it all the fucking time. It's not a big deal. It's easy. That's the nice thing about the fandom is there's very low barrier to entry. You don't even have to draw well. You could just sketch on like some crappy paper, take a photo of it, and you're done. You're in. That's all it is.
I have seen plenty of that,
and I think that's an okay thing about it.
And you don't need to have any justification either. Like, I was just like, when I was a kid and I read Animorphs and Jake would turn into a tiger, I'd be like, wow, tigers are cool. And then I grow up and I'm like, wait, I can make a persona. I'm going to make a tiger. And then I did it.
And then they trapped one of their fellow classmates in the body of a rat on an island, and his psychic screams are still heard to this day.
Just
Animorphs
to finish this off, because you did kind of interrupt it, Evan's persona is Jack Basobiec.
Yeah.
I kept on calling him Jack Prilosec. Is that how you're supposed to say his name?
Something
you
like
can say it however you want.
Axel, I do. One of my other podcasts is a Animorphs rereading podcast, and we are getting close to the David books, and I'm so fucking excited.
See, I never actually read the Animorphs books. They just weren't a thing I was into for some reason. Hey, surprise! But I know enough about them from the outside to know these horrifying details.
I did read them, but I don't know who David is.
Like, I read all of them.
Oh, he's the evil seventh Animorph who they give the power to morph, and then he is evil. And they decide they can't kill him, so they just trap him as a rat and leave him on an island.
Jesus, I have no memory of that.
Books were like
which
extremely
he is forced
disturbing.
to become a real rat and start fucking other rats, I guess.
Huh.
All right.
Because he's a rat.
This?
They lose their mind, right? Like, don't they just become the animal at one point?
That's right. And the first thing they do in the Animorphs book is they start fucking.
well,
what else do rats
turned
do?
Into
like
like gets stuck as a hawk. Tobias, I think he doesn't like immediately.
Yeah, Tobias is not. I mean, I feel like the Tobias has like a human connection. Like in the third book, Tobias does very much almost go off the deep end and just live entirely as a hawk. But then he decides not to, and also almost commits bird suicide, which is stopped by someone throwing a baseball through the plate glass window he is about to dive into.
Also,
that
can I
is
just like
fucking hilarious?
I don't. It's not spoiling. It's not spoiling it if I complain about how dark the ending of those books are, is it?
Don't say a damn thing. I know someone dies. I don't know who.
All of them.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, I thought you'd read them before.
I've read some of them, and I do know that someone dies at the end. I don't know who it is.
Well,
John
to be
dies
fair,
at the
and
end.
this is
Get
an
it, like the
evergreen
book?
statement, everyone is going to die eventually.
Just like Henry
Thank you.
Kissinger.
That's really the moral of this entire podcast we've been doing.
So
Yes.
let's get a little bit into some of the stuff that we brought you on here to talk about, because there has been some wild shit happening recently, and I don't really know. I had 4 topics laid out, and if you have more, you're welcome to suggest them. So I kind of want to just give you your pick of the litter of which we start with.
Get it? Pick of the
So
sorry.
like. So the ones that we had were Bucktown Tigers run on Jeopardy. Not necessarily politics, but I want to bring it up because I fucking love it. The recent fur affinity changes to the terms of service and the aftermath of that. The To the Ranting Griffin's recent clawing at popularity, like he has been for the last 10 years. And that Arizona representative whose name I keep forgetting, who went on Twitter and said, "What is Fursona?"
Joe Arpaio.
In a wig.
Yeah,
He put on a wig, is running for office, and then asked what a fursona was.
Josephine Arpaio. Can I
fursona is
request
a punk,
that we
get
start
it?
by talking about the Fur Affinity terms of service, because I am very intrigued by that as someone who has no idea what the story is here.
So, Fur Affinity, for those who don't know, just a brief background on Fur Affinity.
For our one listener who's not a furry.
Yes, for our one listener who's not a furry, Fur Affinity is like
It's DeviantArt for furries.
biggest- Exactly,
That's
DeviantArt
it.
for furries.
But isn't
Run
DeviantArt
by someone
DeviantArt
whose
for
name
furries?
you're going to hear the name Dragoneer a lot. He's the
Now,
person who
correct me if
made-
I'm wrong. I was under the impression that, unlike DeviantArt, Fur Affinity is not necessarily, but a lot more porn-friendly. Is that wrong?
Oh, extremely. No, you are extremely correct. There is... I gotta be careful how much I'm tipping my own hat here, because I very much am. But, no, DeviantArt terms of service only allows nudity and, like,
Vor.
oh, fuck. I'm trying to remember what
Only
the
when it's
exact
Vor
thing is.
related.
Yeah, it's only when it's Vor related. But there's something about it, like, only being, like, photographically nude or something like that. I don't actually know.
DeviantArt
but
honestly
anyways.
has plenty of porn on it. It's just not enforced, I think, very evenly. And
Yeah.
Fur Affinity, I have not used Fur Affinity for probably more than 6 years. I have not touched it, so I don't know what has changed about it. But as far as I'm aware of, they have ways to keep everyday people from seeing everything, meaning you have to register accounts to even see a lot of the tagged material that is considered like inappropriate. And one of the funny things is back in the day when people were trying to do the whole outing other people as furries, the only way for someone else to have known about it was for them to have an account and have found this art, meaning that it always sprung the trap backwards.
So tell us
Yeah,
about the terms of service.
So, Dragoneer is a name you're going to hear a lot. Dragoneer is the person who originally created and, like, helms for Affinity. Not a great person, doesn't have a history of being very good, but...
He's garbage.
Well, that's...
I mean, just
yeah,
to put
that's-
it simply, he's been the owner of the site for a long time. He recently sold it to I guess like a Second Life VR chat, like spin-off crappy version called IMVU. And
I remember IMVU. I was very
That
excited
owns-
about that when I was like 10. And then I found out that it wasn't a video game.
nope. It's worse than Second Life somehow, and it owns
It is
Fur
worse than
Affinity.
Second Life.
Somehow! That qualifier is extremely important when talking about
It's like
just how
Second
bad
Life if there was nothing to do, which there already basically isn't in Second Life.
there is literally negative to do in Second Life. And so here's the thing: is so he's been the owner for a very long time, and I don't think he's ever been adept at it. And one of the first big scandals, and the one that caused me to leave that service forever, was when one of the many security holes was exposed and a whole bunch of people's private messages were leaked. And in those messages, it was shown that the staff, especially Dragoneer personally, tried to gaslight a woman into not reporting a sexual harassment against a popular artist. There was another case where he helped delete evidence because a friend of his was going to be under investigation for zoophilia. And that's one of the things where, you know, yes, we're furries, but zoophilia is still considered like, yeah, no, we do not want that anywhere near us. And he helped him, and that was like, yep, I left the site forever after that.
Sounds like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's been many years ago, and there's been many, many, many more hacks. And in recent times, with the rise of the alt-right and the Nazi fetishists, there has now been a big conflict in what are the site's terms of service. If you're permissive about pornography and other fetishes, why not Nazi uniform fetish, et cetera, et cetera? They were trying to use kind of a weird foot in the doorway of allowing it, but luckily I think enough people went around and said like, hey, this kind of sucks and you should not be allowing it, and they made a big motion of saying, okay, so fine, we'll do what you SJWs want, and we'll get rid of the fascists, but they
So,
didn't actually do so. They didn't.
I have in front of me the update. You're talking about you're talking about the recent change, correct?
Yes, and then they did it. Then they
Right.
changed it again. So like, this
Yes,
is the kind of
recent
history
change.
up to
This
that.
is. I'm pulling this article from May 15th from the The headline of this article really just tells you pretty much all about what this writer has going in, because it says Fur Affinity bans right-leaning furries, ignores Antifa.
Wow, what's this person's opinion on the matter, I wonder?
So here's what Dan Wolfgang has to say.
Sorry. Are people drawing, like, big, muscular cat boys with giant dicks waving around anarchist flags and wearing a black mask?
Do you want to know the answer to that question?
I do.
I haven't seen it personally, but I know it exists.
Good.
So here's the updated rule. Here's the updated code of conduct. Section 2.7: do not identify with or promote real hate or terrorist organizations and their ideologies. They also say a hate group is one that advocates and practices hatred, hostility, or violence towards members of a designated sector of society, e.g., Nazism, KKK, ISIS, or alt-right. And also banning symbols of hate associated with those groups like swastikas and Confederate flags, not in avatars, real-life photographs, and content intended to disrupt the community and do nothing else. And they are perma-banning anyone who goes against this code of conduct.
Good. Are they actually enforcing it, or...?
I don't know how widespread they are, but some big names like Roy Kalbeck, who, on the sidebar, by the way, the sidebar of this website does very much say, an interview with Roy Kalbeck of the Burned Furs and the Arizona Reform Party.
Oh, good.
Now, Roy Kalbeck,
He's
what the fuck is
special.
the other thing that... What the fuck is the other thing that Roy Kalbeck did that, like, non-furries will know him for?
He will be known for, because he's mostly, this is a brony thing, which I guess is separate.
Yes.
And he wrote
Did he write
Fallout
Fallout
Equestria, which is
No.
this thing that spans volumes. Like,
It's like one of the
extremely
longest
long.
things ever written.
If I'm not
And-
mistaken, it's longer than Ulysses.
Yes,
Just like
yes, it is.
like,
And he
Jesus
also
Christ.
claims that it has more literary merit than anything that the left has been able to provide.
This is a My Little Pony fan fiction that got printed into books that were five. There are 5 volumes.
Move
each
over,
one larger
Das
than the last.
Kapital. Here comes a horse with a gun in its mouth.
I used to.
How do you exercise trigger discipline with hooves?
It's not with hooves. It's I've actually seen like someone drew up like a blueprint of how a pony gun would work.
I'm just imagining like a single
like, bite
small
the trigger.
finger coming out of one of the hooves.
I did not expect to be thinking about
Like they
Fallout Equestria
strain
tonight
hard
or
enough,
ever
and
again.
like a little like Powerpuff Girl like hand just like starts squeezing out.
Just flailing wildly and screaming as he
Sounds like something out of jazz punk.
Okay, now what is jazz punk?
So,
Let's explore this
Jazz
space.
Punk is a phenomenal indie game that came out 2015, 2016. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's really short, maybe 2 hours if you actually just probably less if you just mainline the game. But it's a game that is mostly about telling as many jokes as it possibly can,
It's
and
just
a
like
lot of them
it's
are really
just like
fucking
nonstop visual gags everywhere you
funny. Yeah.
look.
All right.
Yeah,
It's very good.
It's really fucking funny. All the NPCs have like super low voices, like "Hello there, my name is Jamison."
That was actually really
So
accurate.
it's so basically what you're saying. So you're saying it's the Dover Boys of games.
Potentially, yes. I always remember this one visual gag where you make someone a chicken pot pie and they say, just like my mother. And if you press like the interact prompt, like the E key or whatever, you'll splash it in his face and he'll say like, I have 3rd-degree burns all over my face.
Also, I think Crocobit in the chat wants to correct the record about that. Apparently, he wrote New Pegasus, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Now, okay. I know that's short
Yeah,
for
he did not write
short
the
for
original.
Pegasus. But
I thought that's a second one. That's the Fallout New Vegas thing.
No,
but
apparently
I think he
it's
already
a
did Fallout
spin-off.
Equestria too.
Apparently, it's a spin-off because he says apparently, K-Cat wrote the original, or is it just Cat
K-Cat.
with 2 Ks? I don't know.
Cat.
But
Who wrote Fallout?
Is how
I
you
also
pronounce
want
that.
to point
It is
out here that
K-Cat.
apparently K-Cat was rejected from writing Star Wars Extended Universe fiction because she wrote torture and piss porn with Ewoks.
Oh, good.
Oh,
So wait,
that
actually,
stained
so
the fur.
so this guy is even worse because he's the guy that looks at that and goes, you know what? That's what I need to be a part of.
Thank you so much for this excellent
Now,
bit of content, Crockabit.
Thank you,
I
Rowan.
do really want to address
Thank you.
the fact that the name is New Pegasus, which just looks like it's a contraction of peg and ass.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
like more like New Peg Us. Am I right?
That's not a good title. Unless that's what it's about.
King of the Hill fan fiction. It's the worst.
Hey, I mean, to be fair to these people, right? To be fair, I did once completely watch a 6 hour long YouTube fan fiction about what if the characters from My Little Pony met the fucking Phoenix Wright from the was it from that game, whatever it's called. My mind is broken.
Phoenix
but,
Wright.
Yeah.
Ace Attorney. I mean, I read My Little Dashie.
So this was all to show that to show your family that furries were real, right? That you spent this time
Yeah.
watching all that.
Okay,
And
My
then you
large
registered an
idiot
account,
sons
you
and
got a
I.
Sona, you went to a couple cons just to show everybody that see, this is what furries are.
I just thought that
Oh,
my
man.
family would believe me more if I had a tattoo.
Extremely Kurt Eckenwald voice. Okay, I'm an idiot.
What would Kurt Eichenwald's persona be?
I'd be definitely
Well,
be
it's
an
going to be an
octopus.
octopus. I mean, God, Jesus, we knew.
Yeah, okay. So the only other big name that I saw getting banned from
He would be a werewolf, and his name would be Kurt Lycanwald.
nice.
Good.
That's good. The only other big name that I saw getting banned from Fur Affinity for this was not Zosh, who recently went under a big fucking debacle, but what the fuck is their name? I'm completely
Zosh is the
blanking
one
on
that
it.
does the underage stuff and the
Yes, but I'm talking
multiple
about the person
sexual
who got busted-
assaults, and then was put in
Yeah.
charge of Fur Affinity for a short time before he was then
God, I
taken off.
forgot about that.
So
Holy fuck.
yeah, so there's it's a mess, and
But
it's a horrible website. in Japan.
The person who got busted alongside them for like DMing them about like the kids stuff, like Blue Wolf or something like that. I don't remember exactly at the top of my dome, but they are one of the few people that I actually saw having action taken against them. Which I mean, fucking good. Finally, Fur Affinity is something correct.
So back on the subject of the terms of service change, would I be correct in assuming...
I want to correct myself before, in case we're getting emails. Okay. It is a code of conduct change. I said terms of service a bunch, so that's on me, not you. Go on.
Okay. If on the subject of the code of conduct change, would I be correct in assuming that there was a giant meltdown of right-wing furries that's very funny?
Oh, absolutely.
Yay!
They got
Oh, yeah.
somebody I follow on Twitter banned from Twitter. Like, they weren't even a furry just because they, like, laughed at one of them. Oh, Spook Person on Twitter there.
Oh, okay.
You know, she got banned by Nazi furries because she laughed at them for having a meltdown, so that was good.
That is
Furries.
good.
Yeah, it is.
It was very good.
How do I get
so
myself
this-
banned from Fur Affinity?
No, from Twitter, not from Fur Affinity.
Oh,
I want to get my.
that
I
does
wanna get
make
myself
sense
banned
now
from
that you
Twitter.
say that. That makes way more sense.
I did clarify that they were not a furry.
Well,
I
one of
didn't-
the things
you
I
didn't
really
need to.
advertise for furries to do is to start weaponizing ourselves online. So when we own conservatives, we can just point at ourselves and go like, "You guys just got owned by a furry. What the fuck?" And we should use that to our advantage, just by owning people online all the time.
Other host of the show, other host of Barking Points Memo, Ace, a millennial dog, does that from time to time. I see.
Yeah.
Which is always extremely nice. And also, that segues nicely into our next conversation topic, which is what led Representative fucking, hold on, piss ass furry
Yeah, it was fucking
representative-
piss ass is their name.
Representative Piss Ass from Arizona.
It was
Arizona
Chug Buttball.
So the Chug Butt every fucking time.
Senator
so
Toomer from Arizona.
Representative Kelly Townsend, when someone responded to Twitter, and they're a popular person on Twitter, but I don't remember who they are off the top of my head. Maybe you know, but they responded on Twitter saying, "You just got completely owned by a furry," and State Representative Kelly Townsend wanted to know, what is furry?
Was it Colin Space Twinks?
No, it wasn't Colin Space Ranks. It was someone with like a deer persona or something
Oh.
as the avatar. I don't remember off the top of my head.
TLDR?
What's that?
I said TLDR. That teal
I
deer,
don't
that shitty
know.
YouTube. Never mind. It's a right wing YouTube channel that uses a deer as an icon. I was being a dickhead. Continue.
God, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Every time I hear that name, I'm confused for 10 seconds because it's such a confusing name.
No, it's understandable.
So anyways, Representative Kelly Townsend wanted to know, what is furry? And then someone explained it to her, and then she, like, in the tried and true fashion of all, like, shitty furries, she just Googled, lion furry, and just took a screen cap of one of them and said, "This is my fursona." And then she posted a picture of Shrek doing the you know how to do it to him, and she said, is this fursuit?
God.
What? Wait.
Did you not see that part?
No, what?
It was like watching a small child that you have tasked with like a basic errand, like to like hand you an orange and they come back with a fork, and you just go like, how do I tell this person how wrong they are, and can they comprehend it? And that was the situation with this person, who is also, of course, right-wing, and that's kind of a nice prerequisite for being as
Stupid.
clueless as she is. Yes. You're being much kinder and more than I am.
Bad at online.
Yeah. It was very much a, how do you do, fellow kids? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she first of all is stealing another person's art, which is just like, it's not even a furry specific thing. That's just like an asshole thing to do. Like going to someone else's page, stealing their character and saying, "This is me now." And it's not delightful like Gene from Bob's Burgers saying, "This is me now." It's much more, it is a lot more sad and a lot more pathetic. And so that was her first sin. So that was one. I mean, two.
At Pepper Coyote, by the way, according to Fruit Selector.
Pepper Coyote is the person who owned her, but the person who brought up that she was owned by a furry was Twitter user Andreas Wolf. And it's a satyr. I was confused. It's not a deer. It's a satyr.
What is the
So
difference?
that's on me.
Same thing.
But either way, this was like kind of a unique trolling opportunity for a lot of people. So you got people sending her porn, which is kind of a normal thing that, I don't say
Yeah.
normal. I guess it's
No,
a
you got
common
it.
thing that happens.
Extremely normal
And a
brain
bad thing.
to
I
do.
should say a very bad thing. I feel like I should clarify.
Yes,
That's not a good thing to do.
I'm remarking upon its ubiquity, not
Yes.
not its morality.
I figured you were, but I just wanted to clear the air.
So there was that, and you also had some idiot who decided to draw her a fursona. And there's this one tendency that happens every single time some person with some kind of external status, like a celebrity, who gets like, I don't know, like they accidentally elbow someone on the street, and that little amount of contact, they go like, "You're one of us now!" And so people will just go out and try to draw these people their fursona. And it's free labor, it's free art to someone who doesn't deserve it. And this particular person being as anti-gay and just being far right-wing, it's just completely anathema to a community that is very predominantly sexually heterogeneous. I guess that's I'm trying to think, like it's not.
It's pronounced heterosexual.
Yeah, it's not heteronormative, I guess.
Yeah, very, very far from it.
So there's a whole bunch of things that was just going to end badly.
Cis heteronormative. I suppose I should clarify. I suppose I should tack on there.
Yeah. So we've also had other scenarios. So like, let's say there's a Netflix show called Agretzko that came out, and a lot of people really got attracted to this one character design, and the American voice actor for him unfortunately discovered that online.
Right.
And while he was cool about it, a lot of people were very much not in their desperate, sweaty outreach to him, and it's a kind of a long-running theme.
He did. I do want to clarify that the voice actor did very much tweet about finding vor of his character.
Hey.
That he searched out. Again, this was a very Eichenwaldian moment. It was very funny.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
Remember when Ed Helms found out about Onecest?
Don't remind me.
This just
Remember
reminds me
Onecest?
that one. Please stop saying the word Onecest.
Do you remember Onecest
Please.
from Tumblr?
I remember Onceler.
Sam, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough.
When people liked Onecest?
Every time you say that, it's like you're sticking my brain into the Shino ball from The Simpsons.
Evan, do you remember Onecest?
Just until it's like perfectly smooth and reflective.
What?
Even Matt, who says the worst words on this podcast, is against it.
Nothing could make me happier than making Matt upset.
Oh God. So yeah, that's about that. Don't draw free furry art for people who don't deserve it, and think about taking commissions from people who are shitty people.
Yeah, and start drawing Uncest again. It's been a while.
All right, you want to talk about Bucktown Tiger? Or you want to talk about To the Ranting Griffin? Because
what else is there to really say about Bucktown Tiger other than that he is doing very well at Jeopardy? And once again, the furry world is going to intersect with, I guess, the normieverse, and we will see how that chemical reaction ends badly.
He won again tonight.
Oh yes, and not again. When I say end badly, I don't mean for him.
What is he up to now? Last I saw, he was over $100,000 fucking dollars.
He is at $144,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's able to play in that tournament they have, right? Like the Champions one.
He's certainly going to be a lock for Tournament of Champions at this point.
Yep.
At four wins over $100,000, that's probably it. But five was almost definite. This is a lock. It's at 6 wins, $144,000. He's guaranteed to be in it.
So didn't you say that Alex Trebek asked him about him wearing a fursuit?
Yeah, he asked. So I think it was on his first night there. Alex Trebek was like, "So I heard you play the piano in a tiger costume," and to have to explain to Alex Trebek, I think I have nightmares about that
on national television.
Yeah. Alex Trebek asked on the most watched game show in the world, or in the States at least, rather. The most watched game show in the States, being asked by Alex Trebek to explain what your fursuit is.
Well, that's the problem, though, is that you can only answer in the form of a question.
What isn't my fursuit?
Or the easy one, and it's a cop-out, why not?
Imagine Anderson Cooper leaning across the desk to you on a news broadcast and just looking you right in the eyes and saying, "So, what is fursuit?"
This just always makes me think of that old Greg Zilla tweet that's like, Obama, what is furry? How do I get a fursuit?
Fuck you.
That is an old tweet and a deep cut that I don't expect many listeners to get, but I'm gonna make it anyways.
Is that the one where it's like?
So let's talk about To the Ranting Griffin. Oh, let's talk about To the Ranting Griffin. To the Ranting Griffin. Thank you.
So To the Ranting Griffin is like, imagine someone took
what do you
the
say?
zero.
What's their name?
To the rant.
The number
It's literally
2.
the number
Okay.
2. Like
The
his
digit
act.
specifically.
Okay.
And so, imagine taking. I guess I want to think about where he got his start, and the first time I ever heard of him, which was years ago. But he was kind of initially this guy that would do the zero punctuation type of rant thing, but without any visuals or charm. And he tried to parlay that into a stand-up career. And because, we had a whole bunch of conventions, and at the time there wasn't a lot of good recruitment of talent, and they were kind of desperate for it. He got a pretty easy ride as just being the furry stand-up comedian because, how many of them were there? He didn't have any competition. It's kind of like why Penny Arcade became what it is now. It didn't really have much competition.
Yeah. Nobody had ever thought to be like, what if video games were farts?
Yep. They got in first.
They pioneered that.
And now they're
He's
millionaires.
released 6 DVDs, by the way, of his stand-up. The 5th of which was called Yif in Hell. I do just want to tell you about that.
Okay.
Wow.
Just completely hypothetical question. Where would I find these?
The dustbin of history.
On your dresser drawer.
If I was to make,
Break into his house, he insulated his walls with these DVDs.
if I was to make, say, a podcast where I watched these with somebody and commented on them, where would I find them hypothetically for that?
In your
I'm
VCR.
sure he sells them on his crappy website.
Okay, but I don't want to give him money.
Let's just check out www.ranting-griffin.com. And this website, his sidebar has an AIM link.
Does he say, it really grinds my gears?
Here, I'm gonna link this in podcast chat.
Oh God, I don't want to click this.
Oh, he looks like Davis Arini.
Yeah, he does very much look like Davis Arini.
Is he also a Canadian monarchist?
Holy shit! He did a live in Germany. He did a show live in Germany, and the DVD cover has his persona wearing a Nazi uniform.
Oh,
Yep.
I get it.
And that was
funny,
one of
'cause
the
that's where
reasons
those are
that
from.
he was first called out for. And, of course, his reaction was terrible.
I just like how like
Oh,
the
there
most
it
recent
is.
thing he has here is 2012 touring information.
I'm just
Well,
trying to imagine.
that's the thing, is once the other conventions, once they started getting actual, like, talented people and others were actually looking in at, like, what his material was, his work very quickly dried up, and he has been kind of unable to accept that he never really had a real career, and that the closest that he had was kind of like a Potemkin Village version of a stand-up career.
I'm
Yeah,
just
it's-
trying
And
to
he's-
imagine going to like a stand-up show and seeing just someone doing zero punctuation on a stage.
I mean, there
And it's
have
not
been
good.
zero
Sure won't
punctuation
die.
live shows before, right? Like, have there been?
I don't think so.
Because until he said the N-word, I was a big fan of zero punctuation, and I'm
No, I think he understands. Well, it was basically, again, it's him just talking with it sped up. That's all it really was, and he would just be ranting
Yeah.
about like, "Oh, these people who have like these really weird personas, they're kind of dumb," and that was kind of it. I mean,
Yeah.
throw in some swears, have him wear sunglasses indoors all the time, and that's kind of who this guy is.
he kind of
He's halfway to becoming a blues brother. Also, I do want to iterate that we are about to delve into some of the current events, and please keep in mind that this man is 46 years old at this point.
Good.
Yeah, I guess this kind of intersects well with the larger issue that has been plaguing the furry fandom, which has been an attempted infiltration from far-right elements and white nationalists. And, of course, one of their tactics is to kind of... I think they really like reaching out to people who are going through wounded bird mode after they've been called out for being shitty, because they can kind of coo and offer them the... it's like, oh, well, this is a safe space where we all support you because we love your work. And see, like, they're just haters. And being that person to reach out to them, it's really useful for recruitment. And so he goes in to the Furry Raiders, which are a self-described alt-right group that has also shut down cons by becoming nuisance threats to them and causing insurance
Good.
issues. So
It is weird because the thing that you described is like a pretty common like right-wing recruitment thing that happens
Yes.
a lot, not just in this
exactly.
type of situation. And it is kind of funny to think about it in terms of they basically are just coming to people who are feeling threatened and offering them a safe space, which is, as we all know, the thing that they love more than anything is safe spaces.
Yes.
I just want to cut in here and say that if you want to hear a really good episode about alt-right recruitment tactics, go listen to Barking Points' 2 episodes ago now, was it? When you sat down with someone who had been recruited by the alt-right previously and got out?
It was with Andreas
it's a
Wolf.
heavy episode. Yeah, it's a heavy episode, but it's a really fucking good one.
Yeah, it was our special interview episode, so that was definitely a good one. But again, so these tactics are not unique to furry, and that's one of the signs that a lot of this really is kind of an outside influence trying to weasel its way in, is because they are borrowing universal tactics.
That is, by the way, the exact same person that I referenced earlier when I said the person who called out, who said that Kelly Townsend got owned, or whatever the fuck her name is, Kelly what's her face, got owned by a furry.
Ripa.
So
Did he do like
Yeah,
a really
Kelly
long
Ripa.
thread about Nazi recruitment tactics like 6 months ago, maybe? Sorry, this is a very specific
I
question.
think they've written threads about that, and I think Dio, who is another figure in the fandom, has also written a guide about that type of thing, and has.
Oh,
had,
I've
like,
totally
multiple
read
threads on
both of
that.
those then. Okay,
Probably.
Sorry, never mind.
Dio has been a big victim of the far right trying to specifically target and call in threats and do various things. So
I have a question.
Yes.
And this might be unanswerable and a bad question, but I'm just curious. Is there like a prevailing politics in the furry fandom, or is it like a pretty wide range?
it's difficult to say because just like any fandom, you're going to have revanchist and reactionary elements within it, some more coded than others. I will say that I think because of the specific sexuality and gender politic within the fandom, you're not going to find a lot of conservatism, maybe not to the same, I think, ratio that you might find in a normal population, but I think there is a wide spectrum. It just, I'd say it's slightly tilts more left. generally.
But among those who align more left, there is still a lot of stuff you have to watch out for, because the furry community has a very bad problem when it comes to depictions of underage content, depictions of sexual assault, depictions of zoophilia, and it doesn't really know how to. It knows how to properly handle those if they really wanted to, but they don't. A lot of them don't want to.
Well, the issue is that the furry fandom, a lot like the gaming fandom and various other groups of people, is that I think they definitely suffer from the geek social fallacies. And one of those is that, well, we have to accept everybody because that's the whole idea of being in this club.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you have to establish first principles. That's the basic idea behind a social contract. And so people are often, when you set those lines, people will either try to pretend that they're written in sand in order to benefit themselves, or they'll try to say that you're being divisive for drawing that moral distinction. And a lot of people fall for that. And
speaking of that,
yeah.
To the Renting Griffin put out a video today where he said pretty much that's how it happens. That he quote unquote infiltrated the SJWs and the left
after they reached out to him.
Yes, after they reached out to him, screen caps from Telegram got posted because. Okay, this is a question you might be able to answer because I don't fucking know. Why is Telegram like the furry messaging app? Like, why is that?
It was extremely convenient and very easy to add sticker packs to. And internationally, it was really useful for people who wanted to essentially text abroad without having to deal with the constant ad annoyances of Japan's Line service. Or, Skype was falling apart at the time. No one wanted to use AIM. So there weren't, Discord wasn't around at the time. And having it be a mobile app was really useful for conventions. So Telegram just naturally fell in. The thing that people hate about it, though, that are furries, is that you have to provide a actual phone number, meaning that in your human life, if those people join Telegram, they will often show up in your contact list and vice versa, meaning that you can get outed. So that is the one downside to Telegram, despite the popularity on the furry user base.
Yep.
Of course, this is my perspective of it, so.
Yeah. That's okay. Thank you for answering that. But so to the Renting Griffin, there were screen caps shown of him saying he's gonna like infiltrate the left and the SJWs. And today he put out a video that was basically saying the SJWs are bad because this is a community that accepts everyone, and they are trying to make it so that people don't accept everyone. Which is, I always find that really weird when that comes up in the furry community, because like the alt-right very much does not want to accept everyone either.
Well, there was that one furry that tried to join the Stormfront people, and then Stormfront people told him to fuck off because he's a social deviant. None of these people have really evaluated the logical conclusion of their ideology.
To some extent, I think that the right wing and the alt-right are open to certain people that they are discriminating against constantly joining their side, because then it's like sort of legitimizing them, I think, is probably how they see it. Like
hashtag not your shield, but actually yes, your shield.
You mean like so this the Nixonian search for status?
Yeah, they're like, no, we're not racist. Look, Candace Owens is also racist.
Yeah, it's like that, what was his name? There's that libertarian, the black libertarian guy who used to be kind of big on the whole ranting community YouTube thing, and all the alt-right guys loved him while also saying the N-word just all the time.
Black Pigeon?
No, Black Pigeon's white. He's like just something like TJ the Libertarian or something like that.
I mean, that's a pretty cut and dry name. But yeah, anyways, To the Renting Griffin is a piece of shit. I really don't have much else to say on the topic. Axel?
Well, I guess what I would say is that he's an example of what happens when you have a closed community, that he survives when there is no like fresh water coming into the pond that he is the big fish in. But once that starts happening and people start realizing that there's other options and people go away, that's when the tantrums happen. I mean, it's a kind of a nice metaphor for the general politic of what's going on right now in this almost age of Aquarius-like fashion, where people are discovering that the emperors all have no clothes all at once. All the institutions that we kind of thought were better have turned out to be full of like idiots. All the experts, all the, like all these people who are in the Trump White House, like they all attended like the top universities, and they attained all of the types of things in life that we associated with being a successful, well-rounded, and respectable person. And so you also have the same thing. And yes, and they are, and they always will be, forever and ever.
Remember
and
Steve
ever.
Bannon was in the White House? That was the thing.
I mean, I take a very Legend of the Galactic Heroes kind of view that all empires and nations are not permanent, and they eventually will fall. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going to move into questions now, unless you've got anything else on the broad topic that you want to cover.
I don't have anything specific, so I mean, it's mostly I'm just here for you guys to pepper me with questions, I guess.
Can I toss in a quick question before
Sure.
we get to the audience questions?
Course. Yes,
All right.
please.
You had talked a little bit about like identity and stuff, like in relation to the furry stuff earlier, and that's a lot of what I do at school right now. Like at universities, a lot of the stuff has to do with identity and philosophy and that kind of thing. So I just want to ask, I guess, like a lot of what you talk about, some of the parts of your identity are kind of outside of your control. A lot of what they talk about is sort of the idea of like the other and sort of other people projecting your identity onto you. And I want to know, like, how much you think of furry is that like you sort of end up building your identity based on other people's reaction to the whole idea to start with?
There is always going to be that. I think the state of being human is often confirming your own sense of self at all times. I think because we can't often trust our own mind, I think our knowledge of the idea of madness and the idea that our sense of reality is not always going to be perfect. I mean, we are all broken vessels, even on a mechanical level. Our eyesight might not be as good as others, or our color vision, or our hearing, or our sense of et cetera, et cetera. So I think with that idea in mind, a lot of us are kind of anxious a lot of the time, and often searching for other people to confirm our own sense of self. And it's kind of like a weird reverse gaslighting, is that we're looking for the other person to get to help light the way for us. And so we, of course, I think naturally react to people out on the outside giving us praise. I mean, I think, it might not be to the same as someone who suffers from a narcissistic personality disorder, someone who needs the supply. I think we all kind of need maybe a lesser version of that, or maybe a more wholesome version of that, where the other side's emotional needs are also accounted for. But I think that's kind of something it's pretty universal, I think, in any community. And that self-feedback loop, that kind of closed bubble environment, that kind of area of epistemic closure that people find themselves in various communities, whether it's games or comics or Magic the Gathering or whatever, there's that self-feedback loop where there's a confirmation bias as people start self-selecting themselves out of that group, or as various other groups are kind of purged from them. So I don't know if that's a furry specific thing.
No, that's understandable. I was just wondering, like, because furry is one of the more, nowadays at least, more visible, like, subcultures. And I was wondering if, like, you think
there's
because
a confidence that's gained. I think a lot of people have realized that, I mean, the furry economy is its own entire thing. And a lot of artists who aren't even furries have benefited from the fact that as cultural consumers, furries are very unique in that a lot of us develop our own characters, and we're very fine with parting with money to have other people draw art for us. That's like it's kind of like how it took a long time for people to get used to the idea of buying music digitally. And until the iTunes store came out, people still wanted to buy CDs, and they laughed at the idea of only ever buying an MP3. And then once enough people got used to it, now it's normal. Well, for furries,
now they just laugh at the idea of using iTunes. Hey,
yeah.
yo.
So, as an example, but now it's streaming. But the idea is that furries are kind of like an evolution of the art patronage system that made all the great paintings that we see in museums. Those weren't things often undertaken just by the artist. Those were often commissioned works.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet about that the other day.
Same
actually.
way. Yeah. So it has a lot of unique aspects going for it, and that I think we uniquely appreciate the value of certain things, and we have the convention culture and the parties and the DJ and all the other crazy stuff that we have going now. We feel secure in being able to express ourselves because the social consequences, well, I don't care. if I really wanted to, I could probably have my entire artistic career be just in furry. I won't have to rely on some studio possibly deigning to give me an interview for a job, as all the jobs in the art world are getting increasingly compressed. It's like all these people complaining about the Cartoon Network cartoons, and it's like, well, why aren't the storyboarders animating it better? It's like, because a storyboard artist is not an animator. But they're now that those jobs that were like the layout artist or the key animator have all been taken out and just outsourced or just eliminated entirely, so now they're using the storyboards as keys, it's become an increasingly compressed industry. There's fewer and fewer positions and plenty of people who need to work somewhere. And so I think furries have found a place that like we can kind of sustain ourselves without that kind of larger world to some extent.
So what you're saying is that furry is inherently anti-capitalist.
I would like it to be.
Okay, no, I'm totally joking, but like it does seem like it's sort of a reaction to capitalism.
Right, you're joking. Furry is inherently pro-capitalist.
Yeah. So.
You mentioned the whole commission thing, and it kind of made me thinking about like I was thinking to myself how much I spent on commissions last year, because last year was the first time that I actually had like sustainable income and enough money like to pocket that I could actually start commissioning people like with decent regularity. I probably spent like $500-600 on commissions last year, which is...
Well, it's not even just commissions. I mean, there's people who make all sorts of other products now. Like you have badges, you have keychains. A lot of them can even do sculptures. I mean, and some of them actually work professionally doing sculptures for various animation studios. I mean, so we have people with talent and production ability all in that fandom.
Yeah, and of course, if you've got about $4,000 to drop a fursuit too.
Yeah. But I mean, you're getting an artisan work from someone. I mean, it would be just like, what do you think that the basketball teams do? I mean, they have to order that from somewhere, custom made. It's probably expensive as shit.
Are basketball mascots for all furries?
That's right.
Costumes are.
The fight. This
it's
is
furry when
Irish,
a furry wears it.
This is my Irish Sona. This is my Irish Sona. It fights.
I did one time. I did one time have a coworker who our store was having like a grand reopening, and he was a furry, and he did like immediately volunteer to be the one who like goes outside wearing like I don't want to give away what company this was, but he did volunteer to be the one who goes outside wearing a caribou costume and waving at people.
Fuck yeah.
Extremely good to me.
All right, let's get into some questions. Unless Sam or Evan, you guys have any more questions for Axel before we get to the audience questions?
No,
I'm ready to move on to audience questions.
All right, this question from Discord user Shout with a P tape. Question: how can I know if I'm a furry or not? You define it yourself. Honestly, I know people who identify very heavily with certain animals that don't consider themselves furries. I know people that like do but don't really have a persona. It's kind of a question you got to answer yourself. Sorry.
It's
if you
entirely
believe
a
that you
self...
or someone you know might be a furry, call this number.
It's 69, 69, 69, 69.
Thank you. I knew you'd do that.
Actually, sorry, it's 420, 69, 69.
That was what I actually expected you to do, but...
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they're a big fan of the skunk.
621.
Here's my question for the show.
6969.
From Star Asterism, here's my question for the show. When did y'all figure out you were all furries? I mean, I was looking at furry art for a while, but I didn't think that actually counted me as a furry. And then, like, after I came out as a girl, I was like, oh, the reason I didn't want to make a persona is because my idealized form is not a dude. That makes sense. And then I made 2 personas very quickly, one after the other.
I was in denial for a very long time because I was just the idea of... there was definitely a fear for a long time of ostracization, which I think is much more harshly felt, I think, when you're younger. And I think there was also just a whole bunch of other, of course, issues and various other things. What is a man but a miserable pile of secrets and lies and and things that no one must ever show to anybody. So it took me a while to really kind of be okay with it enough to even... start having an account and draw and show other people things. But it definitely became an interesting space for me, and I am definitely glad I became a part of it because the people I have met and have had interests far beyond just the anthropomorphic things, and it's been a good place to find plenty of decent people. So it's been pretty valuable for me that way.
Hell yeah. Sam,
and
when
I'll
did you
say-
realize you were a furry?
Well, now here's the thing. I'm not a furry, but in retrospect, I think it's weird that I didn't become a furry because, like, all the web comics and web media that I consumed as a child were, like, looking back on them, like, I mean, you know Elguna Shive.
Well, a
I
lot of
think
them
you're
were
aware
probably
of The
written by
Watch.
furries, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet if you looked up the artists now, a lot of them...
Oh, yeah,
Dan
like,
Shive,
I
Dan
was just...
Shive is almost certainly a furry, but he never talks about it if he is. Also, like, Sam, you've rattled off this list to me before, and I do find it kind of phenomenal that you are
Not
like,
a furry.
not a furry and also not trans.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah,
it's
like,
never too
Elguna
late to
Shive, The
start. I mean,
Watch.
come on. Get a
I've-
pencil out and a piece of paper, and you're in. I mean, come on.
I think I'm comfortable where I'm at for now, but we'll see.
I think Sam's star.
What, fuck, what was the
icon
other
is
one?
his
Oh,
persona.
VG Cats, obviously.
Oh my God!
There was-
Scott
there was
Remsen
another
there, and
comic
his
that I-
once and his twice a year update.
There was another comic that I remember reading that was, like, hosted on DeviantArt. I think it was just called, like, LOL Comics or something stupid like that. And in retrospect, it was just, like, a stick figure comic, except, like, the author avatar just had ears and a tail, and I never thought about it, because, like, every comic that I read was like that at
Oh,
the time.
I think you're talking about PR Guitar Man's stuff. Yeah, he's a furry
I
that
think
did
that might-
the
I think that might be the
Nyan
name.
Cat thing.
Holy fuck! I haven't thought about that guy in a while.
Nope, that's not it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about that
Oh,
because
wait.
he also did Law Comics,
Oh, wait.
too.
Wait.
Where they were stick figures.
No, this isn't it. It must have been something else.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I have
the
seen this
Nyan
before,
Cat
but
guy
that's not
was a
the name.
furry.
It wasn't LOL
So,
Comics, my bad.
Now you know.
I thought Sam
makes
was about
sense.
to have like a moment of self-discovery there.
No. It
for
was a
half a
moment of
second.
realizing I had messed up the name of the comic I used to read.
Anonymous said to HKIPGTD, is it valid to be into furry stuff almost exclusively as a horny sort of thing? I mean, valid, yes. Common, probably not. I know you didn't ask common, but I don't think it is.
Everything's
I
valid.
could be wrong. That's not true, Sam, and you know it.
I'm valid.
More like
No, you're not.
Sigmund Freud, everything is phallic. Okay, sorry.
Just
Thanks,
like
Evan.
Assassin's Creed, everything is valid. Everything is permitted.
I mean, people give furries a lot of shit for having, like, horny stuff, but I really think that it's not earned, the scorn that furries get specifically for it, because if you've ever been to the Museum of Sex in New York City, where they have had exhibits about the mainstream comic artists and their side work, I mean, hell, what's his name? It's not, what's his name? Not
Osamu Tezuka?
Tezuka, thank you. Oh God, I was trying not to say Miyazaki because it's Tezuka. Tezuka. I mean, they found his interesting
furry
art,
porn.
his furry porn. I mean, yeah, 獣でやったんだ。マジで。
Do you think when Miyazaki dies, we're just gonna find a drawer and we'll finally see what No Face's dick looks like? Inquiring minds want and need to know. This question from a Kumeoi who says, "Is Redwall furry? Is it furry to be a fan of Redwall?
What?
Redwall is furry. It is not inherently furry to be a fan of Redwall.
Yeah, I
What is
fucking love
Redwall?
Redwall, and I'm not a furry.
What is Redwall?
You don't know what Redwall is?
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ, what the
It's
fuck?
mouse fantasy books, I guess. I don't know. I didn't read it.
Yeah, like the easiest way to describe it is like, imagine if like this is just what comes to mind immediately. It's not entirely accurate because I don't remember the books too well, but it's imagine if Game of Thrones, but everyone was a mouse.
What
It's-
the fuck are books?
It's insanely good, by the way. Just gonna put that out there. The books are weird and confusing, or at least I remember them being. But the animated TV show is incredible.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this, but I did just do a Google image search. So it's like Stuart Little with a sword.
Basically, all I remember is "I am that is," and that's it.
Okay, that just sounded like nothing to me. But
But the general rule when it comes to
that.
the whole I like this thing, am I a furry? It's like it's entirely a it's a self-description. You just either choose to identify or not. It's not hard.
Akumioi says in the chat, "Damn it! I was hoping I could own my friend with this." So that might have been we might have just been epically trolled.
Crocobit wants to know, or I guess just brought this up, and I kind of want to mention it. Sonic Fox is bodying people in his fursuit, which is extremely good.
Yes, that's been a lot of fun.
Is that the Melee player?
Well, I mean,
No,
we're talking about like he's a professional. What is it? I guess
the dude is 20 years old. He is one of the best fighting game players in the world. He has amassed multiple millions of dollars in prize pools, in just like purses, and also he is the only person to ever go 13-0 in a first to 10.
Jesus. Now,
Which
okay,
is a
I think this is who I thought it was. I just for some reason thought that they were a Melee player.
And he has played in suit and beaten people.
Yes, he has. And beaten the shit. He's won tournaments. He's won Dragon Ball FighterZ tournaments. I do recommend you look up the story of the Sonic Fox versus Perfect Legend 13-0, because that match was supposed to go to 10, and then Perfect Legend got on mic and started talking shit, and Sonic Fox was like, I'll fucking fight you again, and then he 13-0'd him in a first to 10.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like I said, you just got owned by a furry, and we need to weaponize it. Maybe this will be the thing to take down the Trump White House.
Hold on, I'm getting a text. Trump resigned.
Trump resigned.
We did it.
Trump resigned to be superseded by Senator Chug Buttball.
That's weird. Is Trump in the Discord right now listening to this?
Okay, which one of our Conrads were most likely to be
Which
Trump?
one of our Patreon subscribers is Donald J. Trump?
No, I'm serious.
Also,
I'm asking this question. I want to hear
what
your
was your
thoughts.
question? Sorry.
Which of our Conrads is actually Donald Trump?
Don't make me answer this. I don't want to say this. It's Matt.
Matt's not a Conrad. He's a host.
Don't make
But
me
he
say
is
it about
also
any of our
Donald Trump.
fans. This would be a horribly mean thing to say, so I'm not going to say it. Also, Crocobit Rowan wanted us to mention that Sonic Fox is also openly gay, which is phenomenal. There's the fighting game community is sort of pretty accepting of that stuff, and Sonic Fox certainly isn't the first. Ricky Ortiz, certainly she was one of the first that I heard of, at least. I mean, she's trans, I don't know what her sexuality is, but I do know that she came out as trans after like 10 years in the fighting game community as presenting masculine, and then she was like, hey, I'm a girl, and everyone was like, well, lots of people were like, on a professional level, most people were like, cool, and then some people were not cool.
Because it's gamers, and
do you hear my fucking upstairs neighbors? Did that get picked up?
Yeah, that got
Yes.
picked up.
Good God. That's what I live with all the time.
All right.
Well, see, what I live with is the green parrots that come up from the Gulf of Mexico that now live here, and they screech.
Oh, God.
All right. So that's gonna about do it for. Are we gonna do Lightbringers on this?
I
got one.
I haven't prepared a Lightbringer, but if anyone else has one, go for it.
What's that, Axel?
I got one.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I've actually got like a mini Lightbringer that has completely vacated my brain. So I'm gonna take a couple seconds to try and remember what the fuck I was gonna recommend. Axel, you go ahead.
All right. Well, in that time, I could have done it. So, something I've been really into and I'm playing, I don't unfortunately know if it's going to get a U.S. release. It is Caligula Overdose. And it is the complete up-down remake of a Vita game called Caligula and released in the U.S. called The Caligula Effect. It currently has an anime. And the reason I find it really interesting is not only is it written by the guy that wrote the first two Persona games, which are the ones that I enjoyed the story of more, but also that it has a couple concepts in it that I found were really fascinating. And one of them is that it's kind of like an interesting answer to Ready Player One. And so the premise of the game is essentially, you know that episode of Venture Brothers where he built that like pleasure chamber that gives you whatever you wanted? Imagine if everybody was locked inside of that and forgot that they were inside of it, and whatever was in charge of giving people what they want was an algorithm.
That's a thought experiment or something, isn't it?
And some of the people who are inside that have figured out that they're inside this fake simulation and might have to kill the leader in order to escape from it. So that actually
is kind of interesting, because that sounds pretty close to reality, where just everything is so good it makes you wonder if it's even real.
Yes, and the anime plays off of that entirely. It gets the first episode, and the anime is entirely different than the game too. They adapted it, but they decided to change the entire story and main character. So they're doing interesting stuff with it. The other thing that I thought was cool is that it uses Vocaloid as a premise inside of it. So the AI is actually a Vocaloid software thing. That's what is the thing that's given, and it's an idol figure that is giving all these people in the simulation what they want. And it also is a repeating timeline of high school, because this is a Japanese game. So the idea is that Japan often thinks of high school as the best time in someone's life. And in this simulation is everybody lives that life on loop eternally. Meaning like you know, once you graduate, you come back as a freshman and no one remembers. And
That
that's
sounds
one of the
fucking horrible.
It is fucking horrible, and that's the reason these people want to escape, is they realize that this is all fake. A lot of the time it's because the AI fucked up in trying to give them what they wanted. So like one of them has a mother with an eating disorder, and so she feels sad about it, and so the AI goes, I'll just give you a new mom. Problem solved. And just does that to them. Yeah, just does that to them out of the blue. Like, and so they realize that it's that the world is fake and that this whole thing is constructed, and they're not allowed out. And there's a bunch of people who want to stay that want to keep them there because they like being inside. All the people inside the simulation chose to be there. They just don't remember making the choice. So they're all really fucked up people. So it's an interesting. It's interesting. So that's been my Lightbringer. So I've been playing through the remade version that just came out in Japan. I don't know if it'll get an English release. So unfortunately, I
And what
can't
was it called
help you
again?
there.
One more again?
Caligula. The anime is called Caligula. It's on Crunchyroll. The PS4 game, which is the remake or the kind of the better version of it, is Caligula Overdose, which is a route where you can join the people that want to stay inside the simulation. So you can choose to betray your friends.
Oh, this is a current anime. It's releasing this season. Shit.
Yes. So the anime adaptation is different by quite a bit. The structure is completely redone. Main character is a specific personality, and doesn't include any of the plot from the remake of the game. So it's like it's a standalone almost thing. They hired real Vocaloid artists. It's still going. I think the direction's really good. I don't know if the animation's that great, but that's a problem with the current production volume in Japan at the moment.
I'll take a story. I'll take a story in a direction over an animation any day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting ideas in it, and I give that a lot of weight when I'm watching something. So that's been my Lightbringer. Unfortunately, again, Overdose is all in Japanese, so I can't help anyone else who wants to play it. Sorry.
I can't remember what my other recommendation this week was, so I'm just going to recommend you go seek out and watch the video of Sonic Fox bodying Perfect Legend, because it is just a decimation of a human being. Like, Perfect Legend somehow walked off that stage despite being dismantled piece by piece over 40-ish minutes. It's good. Right? There's a point in the video when after the 10-0 is done, when Perfect Legend gets up on stage and he starts talking shit despite getting 10-0 just then, and then some guy who obviously had been his voice is gone from announcing round pairings all weekend. He comes up on stage and grabs the mic. He's like, "We got a verse," and he's he cannot talk, but he is still putting his entire voice into every. It's a fucking great video. Please seek this out. Sam, Evan, do you guys have anything?
Nope.
Nothing worthwhile.
Cool. All right. So thank you as always to our patrons. If you would like to support the show, patreon.com/HKIPGTD. $1 a month gets you all the bonus content that we do, like Lightbringers, and bonus audio and stuff. This is getting released into the main feed, so this isn't part of that, but $5 a month gets you a special role in the Discord and a shout out, and $10 a month you get all that stuff, and you get to listen live like we have 5 or 6 people doing right now. And so here are those shout outs. Thank you very much to Roan Berg, Star Asterism, Lost in Foundation, Paige Messer, Alex Schaup, Nick Jagged, David Besser, Helga K, Delaney Fritz, 1-800-RU-SLAPPIN', M. Chambers, Kadeho Jones, Harry Tomlinson, Dijonais, Jordan Hagen, Charlotte Warmington, Pregnant Seinfeld, Benjamin Kingstone Faria, Scout Shiro, Petaz, Evan, Lowe, Brett Houts, Stephanie Ruff, Ollie Anders, and Ellen Nordhog. Thank you very much.
Can I just say, really quick, I was listening to that entire time. I thought that Pregnant Seinfeld came way earlier in the list than they did, and I was terrified that we lost Pregnant Seinfeld.
I'm just sad that
Pregnant Seinfeld was the highlight of my week.
I'm just sad that Smoke Weed has changed their name. That makes me very sad.
Yeah, I miss Smoke Weed. But
この
thank
番
you,
組
thank
は
you very
ご
much.
覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。プレグナント・サインフェルド。
Thank you, Axel. I'm just gonna splice that in every episode that we like every episode that we shout out Pregnant Seinfeld. I'm going to splice that in.
Could you just
thank
release
for
that on
gift.
the YouTube channel, please?
Do you want me to do some other readings? この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
For this gift.
この番組は
Axel,
ご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Axel, thank you so much for joining us today. If
thank
people
you
want
for
to
having
find
me.
you, people want to find you elsewhere online, where can they look?
You can find me mostly on Twitter. It's at Axel Lycan. Probably the easiest way to find me.
Okay, and also Barking Points Memo, the podcast that you and three of your friends host, is an excellent podcast. One of my favorites. That's just at Barking Points on Twitter and just Barking Points Memo on your podcatcher, correct?
Yes, it's a current events podcast, not necessarily furry, just that we all happen to be furries. So feel free to listen to it for generalist to leftist content. Blech.
Yeah.
And all the dialogue is barked instead of spoken.
Yep. It takes a bit of getting used to, but it starts forming a unique form of music after a while.
It's soothing, really. If you want to find me elsewhere, you can check me out on Twitter at GayestLulu or on Tumblr, chiesatanaka.tumblr.com. I do two other podcasts. One is a horror movie podcast where two queer trans people talk about horror movies. It's very fun. It's called Fear Baiting. The other one is an Animorphs podcast where me and two of my friends talk about Animorphs. It's called The Wonder Years. It's also a very fun podcast. I've also started streaming a lot more recently, so I'm posting it on my Twitter, but if you want to follow my Twitch, it's twitch.tv/gaylulu. And I think that's all the places you can find me. We'll have a Lightbringer coming up soon, probably. I don't know what the exact schedule for that is, but sometime soon. We'll have one posted on the Patreon sometime soon.
Who's your other host on Wonder Year? Because I thought it was just you and Blair.
We added Seda after because Seda was there when Blair was absent for college. And so Seda filled in while we did the TV show, and then I realized that Seda had already read all the books up to that point, and I didn't, like, Seda and Blair have been super good friends for, 5 years, and I really wanted to have that dynamic together, so we just all agreed to, have Seda on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Serendipitous.
Sam, where can people find you?
I'm Sam. I'm on Twitter at posistress, Tumblr at positive-stress, and I have a podcast, Jurgen, that my brother and I do about the bad show, The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Thank you.
I'm catching up on the backlog. That show is so fucking good. It's a great podcast.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, wait, shit. I probably should do me also.
Yes.
If someone must.
Jordan, my brother who I do Jurgen it with, is going to Japan for 2 weeks, so we're recording 4 episodes of the show over the next 2 weeks, so we're going to be watching a whole lot of this bad show, and oh man, this next episode that's going to be going up 2 weeks from now is, oh my god, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'll just say it's the episode of The Secret Life of the American Teenager where everyone is jerking off.
Oh, so it's like that episode of Seinfeld.
The one where
No,
you
it's
get
the
pregnant?
opposite.
Okay, Evan.
All right. Sorry, by the way, Sam.
It's fine.
My name is Evan, and you can find me on Twitter at TP_Albuquerque. And also, sometimes I do streams of Undertale because I'm extremely behind the times at TP Albuquerque as well on Twitch.
You need to get back to streaming that because I need you to finish it so that we can do a Lightbringer of it.
All right, yeah, I'll be doing it soon. It's just I've been trying to find a job for fucking weeks. Anyway, whatever, not important.
Understandable.
All right, and as always, thank you for listening to Henry Kissinger Is Pokemon Going to Die Not a Threat?
Just a fact.
And Axel, you know what we say to get out of here, don't you?
Bye.
It involves something.
That's
Some-
right.
some-
You got
something
it.
that
All right,
begins. Something that has a vowel in it. Goodbye.
Memento Pokemori.
Memento
Pokemori.
Pokemori.
You will die someday.
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Pokemon, you're going to die. この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。プレグナントサインフェルド